All right, it's a very you in the city of Jos. Today is the 21st day of September 2021, and National Day for Peace. So if you are listening, I speak peace to you, and I will tell you Happy International Day for Peace. And I'm sure you will all enjoy the peace that comes with the atmosphere. The village as always. My name is John Red, and today I am excited to be here because we'll be discussing peace on this village square. Let me say this again. My country people now welcome, now do well. The program now village square, and my name now John Red, and today we discuss something very important. And today we celebrate Obonge Day, and they call them International Day for Peace, or as others will call it, World Peace Day. And today's as we know, it would be related to now. Get something you want to read, or get one thing we want to read for now. We put up for English, and I know so when I go follow me. So you don't gonna jumu, you don't gonna sauradamu na the check uzwa wananzawe namu the village square, and I will plead that you follow us and we will enjoy the ride. I have a very interesting personality in the studio. I'm not going to let you know until I do this. Now, International Peace Day, sometimes officially known as World Peace Day, is a day set by the United Nations to be able celebrate, dedicated to world peace and up war and violence, such as might be occasioned by temporary combat zones for humanitarian aid access. The day was celebrated in 1981. Now, after that, in 2013, the day was dedicated to by the Secretary General then of the United Nations to education. That is, we need to educate people on peace and engagement. Now, the key to war as is education. Now, the celebration for this year is on three core areas: the protection of people, the protection of the planet, and the protection of wildlife. Now, this is what we'll be discussing today. And like I've said earlier on, I have an interesting guest in the studio. I know her credentials, but I'll let her do that better. She can do that better. Please, my guest, can you introduce yourself to the village people?
Okay, thank you very much. I am Fatima Ramsey, and I am a conservationist. I am presently the Conservation Education Officer at Eden Creation Care Initiative. So that's what I do.
Oh,
and
interesting.
That's who I am.
Interesting. Fatima Ramsey, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So, how does it feel to be on this program today?
Well, it's I really can't put it to words, but
All
it's
right.
exciting.
All right. We continue the discussion with Fatima and you people listening to us. I went to the street and I have a vox pop, and I want you to listen to this.
So my name is Samuel Mahananda. And when you talk about peace, you talk about harmony, living in love, living together without rancor, without any crisis. If you talk about peace, honestly, peace can be seen in two phases. There is positive peace, there is negative peace. When you talk about positive peace, it's the real peace you have in the inner of your heart. You're forgiving somebody, you stay in harmony with another person. But negative peace portrays a kind of pretense. After resolving a conflict, you still nurture some kind of bitterness in your heart, but facially you say you're forgiving one another. And the kind of peace you want is the positive peace. And if you have positive peace, you'll be able to protect one another, you'll be able to love one another, you'll be able to stay in harmony with another person. I'm telling you, even if you talk about the ecosystem, the environment can serve as a threat to our security. It means if we want to live in peace with the environment, we need to make sure our environment is safeguarded, is clean, the ecosystem is well kept, and that will give us the harmony we so desire. Thank you.
All right. one man, what did they call him, Mr. Mahana? He's a peace educationist, and we've heard him. He said, if you want to be with peace with one another, you also have to be with echo. Now we go listen to the other voice, and we go hear within the person they talk.
Hello everyone, happy International Day of Peace. Every September 21 is celebrated to recognize efforts of people that have worked hard to end conflict and promote peace. So well done to everybody, especially on the plateau, who is working day and night to ensure peace reigns. Well done, well done. Okay, so today's the theme for this year's International Day of Peace is recovering better for an equitable and sustainable world. It's interesting how they decided to focus on the environment this year. Anyways, I am an environmental enthusiast. It means that I am very, very concerned about the environment. I love it when the environment is treated right. So, in accordance with this theme, I'll be talking about, how our individual actions leads to pollution and the effect it has on us that we don't even know. You are inside keke, you just finished taking your cold kunu because the weather is hot, and then you just fling the bottle into the nearest gutter. You are part of the people causing pollution, my brother, my sister. You are taking sugarcane. Oh, I've seen that sugarcane thing countless times. Once sugarcane is in season, you will know that sugarcane is out. You'll just be seeing chaffs in the gutter by the road. People even throw sugarcane chaff from inside the keke. And I'm wondering, is it that we don't know the consequences of our actions? But please let me, tell you some facts from conserveenergyfuture.com about pollution. Pollution is one of the biggest killers that is affecting more than 100 million people worldwide. More than 1 billion people worldwide don't even have access to safe drinking water just because you finish eating your aya and then you fling it, and it enters a water body, and then people start doing the same. When someone starts something, it's not always sweet, but once 3, 4, 5 people do it, it's very hard to stop it. 5,000 people die every day as a result of drinking unclean water. Now think about it. If the next person that is dying is related to you, what will change about how you address waste? Will you begin to dispose waste properly? Think about it. I will not go further. The garbage dumped in the ocean every year is roughly about 14 billion pounds. Plastic is a major constituent. Your Coke, your Fanta, your Sprite, your Tim, your malt, we just carelessly throw it. These things are not supposed to be convenient, but it's not about convenience right now. It's about doing the right thing. So I would enjoin you, for everyone listening to this show, please do your best to make sure that your wastes are disposed properly. It starts with you, it starts with me. I know this is not the first time we're talking about waste, proper disposal, but please dispose your waste properly. Thank you very much, and bye. Once again, my name is Opebelo. I am an environmental enthusiast. It means I'm in love with the environment. Take care.
Welcome back from that. Opeyemi Beldu, an environmentalist, and Opeyemi gave us a long conversation on what it means to be in peace and what it also means to take care of the environment. Now to my guests in the studio today for this village square today. Fatima, once again, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So, Fatima, today is International Peace Day, and we're talking peace, and we're talking environment, and we're talking protection of the planet. What's your take on that? What do you have to give us about that? What do you have to say on that generally?
Okay, so protecting the environment and how it relates to protection of people. So basically, the environment is like the center of it all. You protect the environment one way or another, it leads back to peace. There's this documentary I watched, and that was really very enlightening, Nowhere to Run. And from there you can literally see how the environment and degradation in the environment led to a lot of issues of conflict. How it started with a river that is flowing down in the northeast. They have access to fish, so fishermen fish from there.
Okay.
They have a lot of livelihoods that they get from that river that's from the villagers around. And then what happened was that gradually they started doing a lot of cutting down of trees, and gradually the water started drying up. So as the water started drying up, there was no enough fish for the fishermen to fish and sell, and a lot of their livelihood was now gone. And then what happened? They got to arms, they picked up arms, and then that degenerated and became a whole new issue that the Northeast is facing. So that is one way that environmentalists have related the issue of environmental destruction or degradation to peace. So we think that we just cut down trees, but the problem is that when we cut down trees, it has a ripple effect on a whole lot of things. It has a ripple effect on people's livelihoods. And when people lose their livelihoods, then the next thing they think about is, how do I make money? And if somebody just comes with an idea of making money, even if it is not in a positive way, even if it is in a way that harms someone else, because I want to get money to be able to at least eat food.
Yes.
Then it now results in a lot of killings and conflicts. And that is how you can see how the environment, even though we don't think about it that way, but the environment now comes to have an effect on even peace within societies. So when we take care of our environment, we get sources of livelihood for everyone, and then there is peace. So that's one way to look at it.
I really will agree with you. They said sometimes what causes conflict is a competition of resources, and your story has clearly established that for us.
Yes.
That when we compete for a common resource, there's tendency that violence can erupt there, and we will not have peace. Now, talking about your area of expertise, now you're an environmental conservationist.
Yes.
My tongue one choke for there. You know, see, I don't say that. Conserve the society, people, environment, people where they make sure say the environment not too scatter like that.
Yes.
So, in your years of work, how can you rate the response of people in environmental conservation?
That is a very easy one.
Okay.
Someone said that if you want to be that, the most depressed people are the people in the field of conservation, environmental conservation, because most times we want to reach out to people, but people don't really see the bigger picture. They feel we are just asking them to not cut down trees, don't throw away plastics anyhow. But the issue is that we see the bigger picture.
Okay.
But it is difficult for people who haven't really studied maybe the environment to actually see it in that light. So the major problem is the issue of environmental education. But we have, over the years, personally, I have seen how people have changed their mindsets, changed the way they think about the environment just by the little things we do, just by telling them, okay, this is what you do that destroys the environment, and this is the effect. Allow me to give an example, please.
Okay, Fatima.
I was walking down Amadu Bello one day, and just before I got into my car, I had it actually first, and then I saw it, the grey parrot. And immediately I saw the grey parrot in a cage. I was concerned because I knew it was up for sale. And then I just walked up to the owner of the shop and I asked him, oh, so where did you get the grey parrot from? And is it for sale? And he said, no, he got it from Cameroon for his daughter because his daughter wants it. But if I want it, he can source it for me. I was like, sure, we have this thing here. And he said that it is difficult to find now. They have to go to Cameroon. So I said, okay. I asked that question deliberately. I asked you that question because I want to let you know that it is the effect of taking these birds away from their natural habitat that has made it impossible for you guys to see them in the forest here in Nigeria. And that is real because the grey parrots are now endangered.
So
you hardly find them. You can go to the forest and look for them, you won't see it. That grey parrot in particular, it is endangered. Here in Nigeria, it is almost getting extinct. And that's because you take one individual out. You take them in groups, but you don't take them together in pairs, and they pair for life. So once you separate one from the other, what happens is they never mate again, so they never reproduce.
Wow.
So once you break that chain of reproduction, what happens is there is no continuity of generations, and that is how they are getting extinct. So he was surprised and he wondered, so he wants to know more. So I just kept on explaining. So from there he was like, oh, he really didn't know that these parrots are like that. So you see, there is actually, just by doing little, just talking to people, you can see changes. Even though it is not as easy as it sounds, it is not as compelling. Sometimes you see a lot of people who just are stubborn about it. You tell them, okay, why don't you take care of the environment? They tell you that, oh, some people even come up with their religious concept that after all, when the end of the world comes, God is going to destroy the whole earth, so there's no need to take care of the environment. What about in the now? What happens in the now? Don't you have hope that your children will also come and use these resources? So we have all of these issues in the field of conservation, and we are just hoping that with our baby steps that we are taking, especially here in Nigeria, with the little environmental education we're doing, we are hoping that we'll get to that height that people will know about the environment, they will know about why it is important to care for it, and they will do it themselves without anybody forcing them to.
Well, the full one, and you just got me thinking. So this people would you see, that means not only in parrot, maybe there are some other organisms, maybe there are some other animals that we don't see them again because we degrade the environment, and that affects how the ecosystem works. Our one of our people we talk for Vox Pop, we send them talk say the ecosystem is a response, it's a reflection of who we are. That if we are a people, it will reflect in our ecosystem, it will reflect on how we manage the environment. So my question goes, you talked about babies we are taking. So what are these education too? What are these other steps that we need to keep letting people that look, we have to maintain this environment, because it is a typical thing that you see someone driving like on the Vox Pop side, that somebody will be driving and he would be taking sugarcane and throwing it on the street. And when you ask them, why are you doing this? They tell you there are people that are paid to sweep the roads. There are people that are paid to do this. And we have trash bins. How do we begin to educate people on the need for these practices? That some of these practices are negative.
How do we begin to do that? I think we're already doing that right now, even on this show. We're already doing that by doing this enlightenment and giving this talk. It all boils down to the same thing: environmental education. It all boils down to organizations. There are several organizations, even here on the plateau, who are doing a lot. Where I work, Eden Creation Care Initiative, Just Green Center, even Aplori, reaching out to people and then telling them about the environment. There's also Better Earth Foundation. All of them, they're all working together to find a way to reach out to people. And like I said earlier, it boils down to environmental education, telling people about how not to do things, separating their waste, separating their trash, not putting their, it's a very difficult thing, especially waste separation, because plastic, like she mentioned, is a very big problem, menace in the environment right now. People need to start separating their plastic, and Just Green Center has even made it easy, because you can pick up your plastic bottles and plastic pure water sachets, and then you can just call them to pick it up, or you can take it to their collection centers that they have around the state. So those are certain baby steps that you can start taking. You can start planting trees in your house also, just in your house, or you have a field somewhere, land somewhere that is just lying down there. Instead of cutting down all of the trees, you plant them. And part of our efforts to see that people restore their environment at where I work, Eden. Sorry, it sounds as if I'm just mentioning.
No, it's now.
Yes, Eden Creation Care Initiative. We're at Guratop. We give out trees for free to people who are interested, and that is part of our effort to encourage people to plant trees. And it is a partnership that we're doing with Nigerian Conservation Foundation. They are sponsoring the raising of the seedlings. So we give out these seedlings to people, individuals, organizations, even for here within your compound. If you want to plant trees, you can just come over to our office at Fish Farm in Latia and pick up your tree or your seedlings from our nursery. So that is part of all of the efforts we are doing. We're working with churches, enlightening church leaders, working with farmers. Issue of the organic means of farming that we're using right now. It's having a lot of effects on our health. You hear a lot of things like cancer. You wonder, where is it from? It's mostly from the chemicals that we keep dumping on our farmlands, and that is what is now
from the
having
purchase of fertilizers.
Yes, effect on our health. And if we want to even relate it to, there is no, just like a colleague of mine will say, there is no peace without health. A healthy society gives peace.
A healthy society gives peace. Yes. Well, my people are not. It's very interesting for me to be learning some of these new things on taking care of the environment. And so people, what environment today? Yes, we are talking environment, and today is International Day for Peace. And you cannot have peace until there is the environment. So even as we call for the protection of people, we also call for the protection of the planet and even wildlife, because God didn't make a mistake in creating all of those things. And as a Christian, I read my Bible, and the Bible says at some point that when God finished creating, he told man, he said, and take charge of those things that I have given you. And if we keep destroying them, we don't make them regenerate, at the end of the day they become a problem to us. There has to be, I grew up in the village, at some point, and there has to be these plants we used to have around. After farming, we cut them during the rainy season, and we just go back home and prepare to eat. It's just a vegetable, but honestly, I did a count. I kept walking around. I cannot find that species of plant. It's a wild leaf growing around. I can't find it again, simply because of late farmers now use insecticides or herbicides to spray farm, and those things have gone extinct. And that's my experience anyway. So my people, now they listen to the program. My name is John, right? And I'm here with Fatima Ramsey, who have been talking environment and peace, and she's an environment conservationist. So if you worship man for the program, you go this number 08100081142. You go feel join the program for this number where I don't call 08100081142. So you go feel join the program. My organic time say, you don't cue song for us, so we have a to commemorate the day. And after we come back from that song, we'll begin to take your calls. I will continue the conversation with Fatima. Stay tuned.
You is stand as a people with one song, with one voice, revelation, undivided and one. We will try this time and give our
All right, you're welcome back from that musical break. We believe in Nigeria, and Nigeria will stand. Nigeria will keep rising and rising. Though we are going through trying and difficult times, and I see Fatima nodding her head. Yes, Nigeria will rise. Now, to continue the conversation, we are talking about protection of people, protection of the planet, and protection of wildlife. So let me speak about the first part, protection of people. All right, we don't get caller already. Okay, fine.
Hello, John Rex. Good morning. Good morning to Fatima. It's Radio Mama. I don't know, calling from Rancher.
Radio Mama.
Fatima, thank you very much. You know that's your story about the parrot. Wow, I learned a lot. Knowledge is power. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now, felling of trees, that's environmental education is very important. But the thing why I want to talk, make I talk for country man language. You know.
Talk Radio Mama.
And now, you know, say all this environmental education, why, you know, they get here, they say, government is supposed to back them up. What am I trying to say here? Like now, gas, don't too expensive. Kerosene, don't too expensive. Charcoal, too expensive. Many people don't begin, they go buy firewood. And because of that, many people they go sell the firewood now. I mean the tree for forest. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So economic policy is very, very important. Because a man where they're hungry, when you tell them this educational, environmental education, you don't go enter in head because you know you get respect for law and whatever authority. So that's not one. Then another one we say like we're carelessness, like flooding where we get. You know, sit there at peace with ourselves because of that flooding, all this pure water, leather, everything with it. They take block and everywhere. Now when rain come, they come carry and come go one place like that. Block everywhere. We can come get disease like cholera. We can come get every place go flood. And then we go there at peace with ourselves. And once you are sick, a sick mind cannot be healthy. And health is with us. So make we try to do in our own small way, the ones where we should do to protect our environment so we can have peace with ourselves. So, thank you very much for looking at it from this angle today, this peace talk. God bless you. Let's not give up on Nigeria. It shall be well.
It shall be well. Thank you very much, and God bless you too, Radio Mama. She has always been a big voice to the society. She has always been a big voice on this square. We get another caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Thank you very much. My name is Sadiq Umar. I'm calling from T Junction.
Sadiq Umar, welcome to the village square.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to comment your guest. She has spoken well and she has achieved about the issue of environmental care. When we look at environmental care, it's something that is very, very important. But the problem is with Nigeria is that we lack that moral value to know that we to keep our environment clean without anybody telling us. That's why you see everybody when driving throwing things, or when walking throwing things, or in community we see persons just park refugee and just put it outside without even put it in the proper places. If even though the government will implement it or will force it, but the people will not be following the government. But if we have the moral value, know that it's good to keep our environment clean without anybody telling us, I think the whole community is something that is very, very commendable and is supposed to be. And the government also is supposed to have a high technology of the environment clean now. For example, now in the modern countries, whereby even though you just drop a refuge out of your car, a camera will just take the plate number of your car and you must pay for it. And if you know that they will trace you, you know that you will not do it. is something that is very, very important. And any environment that is very clean, you will see that that environment is always peaceful. But every environment that is dirty, there must be a problem in that environment, because the children that will grow up thinking is not healthy. They will be thinking negatively. So it's high time that the government will involve in enlightening the people, and like this program that is doing, to extend it to other radio stations, and religion leaders will also be involved in explaining how important it is to keep environment. Thank you very much. God bless you.
God bless you too, and thank you very much, Sadiq Umar, for that wonderful contribution. He has captured it apt. He talked about moral value and we doing the things we are supposed to do without even government telling us. You know, we've been very, very irresponsible to the environment, if you ask me sincerely. And that's why sometimes we always call government. Yes, government can do a lot, but there's a measure to which government can do. We have to continue from what government has been doing or what government will be doing in the days to come. And like Radio Mama said, he said the economy is not so good, and sometimes when you talk to a hungry man about protecting the environment, he may not understand it. However, she's calling that government and even people should be responsible for their environment. Now, cost of gas don't go high, kerosene don't go high. People go begin to cut down trees.
Yes.
And Fatima, if I know, say if you begin to see people where they cut down trees, they pay you now. So she says to say, yeah, good. So what are some of those things that we should keep enlightening and keep telling people, especially as regards conservation?
Well, it's not really a major change in lifestyle. It's just something you can just start doing gradually. I mentioned baby steps earlier. It's just you reducing your just as simple as reducing your water usage. When you see some people just decide that it's government water, so we'll open the taps and they just keep draining water and all of that, and you wonder why do people do that. Or you see some people in some anguas, they'll just cut the pipes. You wonder why they keep doing all of those type of things. They are wasting water. And you say, okay, so it's just water now, they're getting it from this dam, there is enough water. But what happens when we have used up all the water, which is a natural resource, and then we're not able to get water? Then where would we get water from? You see, there's another tension on the environment. True. There's also issue of even relating still to water, even the way we use our electricity at home or in our offices or wherever we are. You see some people just put on their TV and leave, or they put on their lights and they just leave the place, and then electricity is running. You say it's my money, after all I've paid for it. But
no, that one don't stop. Whatever. we now have
meters, right?
Meters.
But then people still do that, even with the prepaid meters. But the effect it has, it's still on water, because Nigeria still depends almost solely on water to generate electricity. And that is why sometimes you see that you hear the national grid is down or something, and that's because there's not enough water in the dams, and then the little electricity that we have, we're still wasting it. So you see how it's having effect on the natural resources, the way we use our electricity, as simple as that. So when you leave the room, you put off your lights. When you leave the room, you put off the fan or whatever it is that you're using. You have issues of even the way you use plastic. Everywhere now is plastic. Water is plastic. Food is plastic. Everything is plastic. But you wonder, how then do we dispose of this plastic? They don't go out of the environment easily. It takes thousands of years before they decompose. So how do we then get rid of them? It's easy. You just reuse them. You either reuse them when you're done reusing it, or if it's not something you can reuse, you recycle it. You change it to another form that can be used. If you cannot recycle it, you give it out to organizations that do that recycling. So, or if you do not need that plastic, we go to buy things in shopping malls or in markets, and then there is carton everywhere. You can just ask whoever the person is to just put your stuff inside the carton for you, or you go with a shopping bag. That's easy. In those days, our parents didn't even use leather to buy things from the market. Now they were using baskets, and then they didn't die. Well, because we like convenience now, we just want leather. Let them put inside leather for us. Even if we're not using it, we just go and throw it again. And then just like Radio Mama said, it will go and now clog the drainages. And then when it's raining season, flood is everywhere. Yes, and then even if it doesn't clog the drainages, it ends up in water bodies. We go and eat the fish from that place that the fish has ingested plastic and has toxins in it already. Then we now come and start having a lot of diseases, or diseases that we get, and we don't know where it's coming from. It's actually from all of those toxins that we get from the fishes. So reusing, recycling, or even refusing our plastic that we get every day or we use every day is very important. There are so many other things, just like taking care of even the plants that you have around your house. That's if you even have it. If you have it, I'm big on planting, telling people to plant trees, even though I have not really, because I kind of relate to people who find it hard, especially in the issue of planting trees around your homes, especially if you don't have a fence. I can say how much I have spent on buying seedlings and bringing to the house and even putting hedges around, but goats will still find a way to come and eat it and destroy it. So it is one other major challenge is our goats that we have around moving in our communities. But then there is something else that we someone told me that I can do, which is the issue of, that was before we put up the fence in our house, which is kerana. That's cactus. You put cactus around these plants, then you hardly see goats coming because of the thorns around it.
True.
So that's one way to protect your plants. So there are so many other ways that you can do, or you can be part of being environmental friendly. Even the way you cook. There are so many stoves now that you can use, that even if you still want to use firewood, these environmental friendly stoves have a way of reducing the number of firewood. They are like there's a way it is built, some are with mud, clay, some are with just metal, and then there's a way you put. We did it in the office. We got some, the Ministry of Environment gave us 2 just to do trial and do illustrations to people, and we decided to try it out ourselves. And the guards in our office, they warm water, so they got firewood that they would normally use for a week, and then they were using that stove for the firewood. And then instead of using like 5 or more firewood at a time to boil their water for bathing, they were using just 2 or so to boil their water, which after the long run they were using much less than half of what they would have bought in a week. So you see how it reduces the tension on the environment. So the idea is not that you shouldn't use from the environment. The idea is the sustainable use of the natural resources that we have, sustainable in such a way that you make use of it and somebody else also has the opportunity to make use of it. Another generation also has the ability to also make use of those resources. So it's not completely not using the resources, but using it sustainably.
Because Fatima, you ended up answering my question anyway. Because I was just thinking of my people in the village that use firewood. They don't use gas, they don't use kerosene. Now firewood they use. So there will be this lady where they speak this English too. Is you aware that we don't have gas and kerosene in these villages, or we cannot afford them as often as people in the cities? But now the technology or the message is that you use them in a more sustainable way.
Yes. There are some stoves that do that.
But wouldn't it be expensive?
Not really. They're not really expensive like that. And then even though they are not really expensive, if you check at the long run, it's just like using solar to using gen. You may use 100,000 naira to set up your solar panel. That's just for maybe your lights in the house and little things like you're charging your phone and all of that. But if you compare it to the fuel that you would buy for a whole year, and you compare it to setting up your solar station in your house, in the long run, because you're not subscribing for solar, you're not buying fuel to put in your solar, you're just using your solar panels that uses sun, natural resource from God. So at the long run, if you check, you see how cheaper it is to actually use solar. So that's the same with firewood. It is cheaper when you get the stove on the long run.
Alright, when you were speaking, I just remember my friend, Glamour Designers. Glamour Designers said, John Red, with the buy fuel for generator to pay NEPA. And now, as you talk now, Glamour Designers, you be like you go begin to use solar now.
It's better.
Not generator again. Alright, so on this note, I want to talk about the protection of people now. We know all of us are responsible for one another in the society. You are here with your friend or your colleague Amos Dayit Isaac, and you know, you are supposed to look out for Amos is supposed to look out for you, I'm supposed to look out for my colleagues and other things. Now this year's theme is talking about protection of people. In your own thing, thoughts, how do we better protect one another? How do we better protect people as it relates peace and our environment? You know, we've been having conflict between farmers, herders, and the likes. How do we, what's your take? How do you begin to support and protect people?
Well, this will be then coming up from my own personal point of view.
Yes.
I would just say, do unto others what you would have them do unto you. So if you see someone's farmland and you have your own farmland, or you have your own livestock, if you wouldn't want someone to go and destroy your farm or destroy your livestock, you shouldn't do the same for your neighbor. So it's just being your brother's keeper. You see someone who is also trying to destroy your neighbor's farm, you also speak up for the person. And then you see someone who is trying to maybe steal from your neighbor, you also speak up on behalf of the person. So it's not, we don't have to wait, we actually don't have to wait for the security agencies, even though it's their work and they are doing a good work. But then we can also, as a community, that is where community is, where it comes in. Someone said that if as a community you do not, if there is no snitch within a community, then no enemy can penetrate the community. So if we learn to work as brothers and sisters, working in harmony together, looking out for each other, thinking, okay, so how would I feel if someone does the same thing that I'm doing to this person? How would I feel? Thinking about the other person first before doing things. So it's just basically the grand rule, and that is how we can be able to protect each other now. So that's my point of view.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Your point of view is fantastic. And I will reiterate the words of Fatima. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. And on this note, I will be rounding up the conversation. And I will say this, that as a people and even as a desk, we support the protection of people, we support the protection of the environment, and we also support the protection of wildlife and the planet. And it is that a environment gives birth to a peaceful people, or a peaceful people in turn give birth to a peaceful environment. And on this village square, we preach peace, we preach love, we preach tolerance, and we also put side by side local issues with global perspectives. Fatima gave us global perspectives as to how things are being done. A lot of countries produce to reuse again. And I remember, my friend Joseph will remember that we had a competition as a DEX that has to do with produce to reuse plastic or produce to reduce. It was a competition and we had winners at the end of the day. Now at this point, I'm rounding the conversation up. Now, what is this last word that you want to leave with our audience about environmental conservation?
Well, the last words that I would want to leave is we should remember to live sustainably. That's just what I want to hammer on. We should live sustainably. Even though God has given us the environment, He has given us our natural resources, but we should always think about our future generation. Think about your children first before you cut down that tree. Think about your children first before you throw that plastic out your car. And think about your children first before you do anything that you feel or you know that is not environmental friendly.
Thank you very much, Fatima, and thank you very much again to our listeners. Thank you very much, Amos, David, Isaac, for coming around too, and to the entire staff of Tech and PZX. I say thank you very much for the support. The executive producer for this program is Helen Philemon Hagai. The program was created by Kabiru Sabo. It was produced by John Red and supported by Joseph Ojedeji. My name is John Red, and I'm saying let's live a life, let's have a peaceful environment. And again, happy International Day to everyone listening to us. Let's come back to the village square same time next week by the grace of God. On behalf of everyone in the studio and outside, I'm saying have a great day and bye bye for now.
When it's all been said and done, the village square is where we all belong. It is where our voices are heard. One village, many voices. From the stables of Tech and Peace Desk comes the Village Square radio meeting, supported by Church in Action, Netherlands. Village Square, local issues with global perspectives. Join us on Highland 101.5 FM Jaws every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. Let's meet at the Village Square. The Village Square is brought to you by Tech and Peace Desk with support from Church in Action, Netherlands.
You're on to Highland FM 101.5, Breath of Unity.